Hello, everyone. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, y'all.
Forgot to turn on my fancy lights. There we go.
There we go. I was like wondering.
Doesn't look like I'm in a cave anymore.
I gotta check LinkedIn for a second to see if it's streaming there, because right when I joined the StreamYard, it told me that my LinkedIn was disconnected, and I'm like, it doesn't look good. That's all good though. Anyways, welcome, Rizèl. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. And
sure.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. So for folks who are not familiar with you, Rizèl, can you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do?
Yeah, I got you guys. So right now, I got a new job. I'm a tech lead. Hey, Mark. I'm a tech lead of open source DevRel at Block. So I mean, same company, but I got a little new title.
Cool.
Yeah. And before that, I was a developer advocate at GitHub. I had a lot of fun times like working with GitHub Copilot in particular. I think that's kind of how I met Marino when I first got my first developer advocate job. Before that, I was a software engineer. And before that, I was in IT, and I really got into tech initially for the money. But I found out, oh my God, this is so fun, like solving problems and hanging out with these different communities. And I really like teaching people about technologies and just hanging. So yeah, that's
Awesome.
me, I guess.
So DevRel is one of those things that I've always been curious about. I don't do it as a profession, but what does DevRel mean to you? Like, what does it mean to be someone in DevRel and talking to various people about technology and whatnot?
Yeah, I think for me, it's about empowering folks who are using the tool so they can like understand how to use it better. But then on the flip side, which I feel like sometimes people don't like to think about as much, is like the company, they're paying you. So it's also like making sure that the company is gaining enough adoption for their tooling as well. So like on one side, making sure that like the company is aware of what the developer needs, where things are falling short, what they're struggling with, and then on the other side, it's like making sure developers are actually know about the product and they're using it. And I know a lot of people don't like to think of the DevRel in the sense of like influencing and marketing, but it is a type of it. It's just not in the traditional way that we see it, because developers don't really like the whole like use this, it's the best coolest product ever. So you kind of just have to be like, well, look at me using this cool little thing, and hopefully you'll think it's cool by me using it or me talking about it at a conference or something. So that was a very long-winded.
No, it's like such a narrow line to walk. Like, you don't want to be too salesy.
Yeah.
Because that just turns people off right away.
Yeah.
But you also want to like share the cool things that the company you're at is doing. So
Yeah.
like, how do you thread that needle between I'm coming across too aggressive and salesy versus I'm embarrassed to show you the thing we're doing? Like that's tough.
Yeah, I guess. Well, you can't be embarrassed. You have
Good point.
you have to be excited or about the product. And okay, in this job market, you might not get the exact job that like you're like, I'm exactly excited about this, because sometimes you just needed a job. But find the thing that like makes you excited about it. Like you can be like, oh, this like relates to this situation I have, and like creating content or demos or whatever that are like applicable to you. Like, I'm a new parent. Maybe like I use an AI tool or to build something. Or a good example is Block is made up of many different companies, and one of the companies that they used to have was called TBD, and that's where I originally worked. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and they built something called Web 5. And for a while I was like, I'm having a hard time figuring out how this could be applicable to me, or like how I can make this relatable to people. But a big part of Web 5 is data privacy. And at the time I was pregnant, so I was like, oh, it could be cool to build like use Web 5 to build like a maternity app, or like a app that like kind of tracks like things about women. And it's kind of it's like this thing, but like it is a little bit taboo. But I thought it was a good use case because most applications don't have that data privacy, or they say they do, but I could tell they don't, because as soon
Hmm.
as I open the app and then I go to a different app like Facebook, it's like, are you a new mom? And I'm like, whoa.
How did you know that?
Yeah,
It's a
exactly.
little
And I'm like,
creepy.
yeah, very creepy. And I think it could also be like not great if you're like maybe you like experienced like loss, like a miscarriage or something like that. So I was like, it could be cool to like build an app that's actually has data privacy. And that was something you could see me be excited about talking about, and like people will feel attracted to that. So long way of saying, when you do DevRel, to toe that line of not being too salesy, is just being authentic and figuring out like, oh, how does this relate to me? And people will feel attracted to use the product when they say, oh, like Ned or Marino or Rizèl like seem really excited using this and they found a good use case. Yeah.
Yeah, it's that authenticity, right? Of this is a real problem that I'm trying to solve for myself. Maybe you have a similar problem,
Yeah,
instead of making up these theoreticals, um,
exactly.
like being personally invested. Super
Yeah.
cool. So I guess, like, what technology has you the most excited at the moment? Like, what are you looking at?
At the moment, I'm looking at Model Context Protocol, and in
All right.
particular, my company built an MCP client called Goose. So that's what I'm looking at.
Okay. All right. Do you know why it's called Goose? I'm just curious because
Yeah.
Goose always
I
makes me think of the what's that Goose game? The Untitled Goose Game. It's the first
I
thing I think
hear
of.
people
It's like
say that.
an angry goose.
It comes from, oh, dang it, I forget the name of the movie right now.
Is it Top Gun?
Top Gun, thank you. Top
Yep.
Gun, Maverick and Goose, and Goose
Mhm.
is the co-pilot. So that's
Mhm.
the little play on words, I guess they did.
I gotcha.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for remembering the name, because I was gonna start Googling. I'm like, what's the name? I was gonna call it Maverick. I'm like, no, that's not it.
I'm an old Rizèl, so I saw that movie. Well, maybe not when it came out in theaters because I might have been a little bit too young, but like
Oh,
definitely saw it once it hit HBO, and I had the soundtrack on cassette. I'd
wait a
pop it
minute.
into my
How old
Walkman.
is this movie? What?
Listen, all right.
What?
Feeling a little shade right now.
No, because you said cassette? Like, what?
Yeah,
I
I
remember
had my
cassettes when I was
BMX
like 5.
bike. I'd ride around listening to Highway to the Danger Zone by Kenny Loggins, chilling on my bike. It's all good. So, what does Goose do? Like, what's Goose all about?
Yes. So I will tell you, it's an open source AI agent. Um,
Hmm,
so you can use it. There's two different ways you can use it. You can use it in your command line, or there's like a desktop application built in Electron, and you can basically plug in an MCP server. Like lots of companies are making different MCP servers, from GitHub to
right.
Confluence to I don't know if Slack has one, but HubSpot, whatever. And you can plug it in, um, plug it into your to Goose, right? And then you can tell Goose like, "Hey, help me to let me give an example, or maybe I can demo it.
Yeah,
Should I do
sure.
that?
Yes.
Yeah, I can see better.
Let's do that.
Cool.
Love demos.
Let me present. I didn't even prepare my screen for this, so let's see
That's
what.
totally fine. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, you guys will see me set it all up. All right, so I like using the UI. I just think is it big enough? Oh,
Oh, shoot.
No
I meant to add your screen to the stage and accidentally removed you. My bad.
worries.
There we go. We're good
Okay,
now.
so I like to use the UI. Some people like using the terminal because they're working like within they like working within their code base and everything. Like maybe they open up Visual Studio Code. But I can show you maybe let's see. I'll show you a couple of different things. I'll show you like a non-code example and then a code example. Let's see what we could do here. I have these MCP servers. We call them extensions in our ecosystem. And let's say I turn on the PDF reader extension or
Okay.
MCP server. And what I think I'm going to try to do is I'm going to ask Goose to read my PDF and compare it to like uh a job description that I find or something like that and see how well I fit those skill sets.
Okay.
So first I have to figure out what path my resume is at. So give me a quick second.
Mhm.
Rizèl Scarlet
So
resume.
I'm assuming you have to hook into any one of these models through like an API token or something like that, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. So at Block we have it all pre-set up for us, so I'm not doing that part. But yes, you can from this view, you can say like, oh, I want to plug in with Anthropic or Azure, or what some people like, and if we're waiting for this experience to get better, is like plugging in with like a local model, like
Mhm.
Quinn or something like that. So then
Mm.
everything is completely local because Goose is local. And then you can have like a local model and everything's just basically happening on your machine and you can work offline. But right now, what I'm seeing is the local models aren't super, super powerful. So they can kind of only do like one step at a time. All right. So let me go back to what I was doing here.
You said this app is built on Electron, right?
Yes, it is.
I the guy one of the guys, I guess the guy who created Electron, he has this cool side project where he brought back Clippy from like the
Oh,
Microsoft
what?
Office.
Clippy. I missed
Yeah.
that guy.
And it's Clippy running, but on the back end, you can plug in whatever local model you want. So it's supposed to be a
Oh,
demo for how you can run local models with Electron. Um,
oh,
so yeah, that code like exists now, and he's got a whole like I guess an extension or something for it. But it's
that
also just
could be
fun to see
so
Clippy.
cool.
I'm like, what's up,
Yeah,
Clippy?
I want to see that because that could be even cool to like try out with Goose or something like that. I like
Well,
that.
I have it installed, so if we want to swap screens later, I'll show you what Clippy's all about.
Yes, please.
I remember back in the days when I would just like launch Microsoft Word, Clippy would just be there and it would work like maybe 90% of the time in terms of what I had asked. So
Oh,
it'd be interesting to see how far along we've come with
improved.
Clippy. Yeah.
I low key was open like I didn't go to school when Clippy was around, or maybe I did, but I had no reason to be like typing anything, and I was just opening up like Microsoft Word just to talk to Clippy. I'm taking a while to pull this up.
Mark, you're so right.
What did Mark say? I missed it.
Said the world wasn't ready for Clippy.
It
None,
wasn't. He
none
was
of us
ahead of
were.
his time. They didn't appreciate him enough. Okay, so I'm gonna do this. Uh, I just found some requirements that I may or may not fit. Okay, so where's the? Uh, it's getting cut off somehow. There we go. All right. So what I'm gonna ask Goose, this is like my non-developer example for you all, is to like read my resume. It's found that this particular file path. I could have also just changed the working directory and go to that like folder that it was in, but I don't know why I took the long way and didn't do that. And then I'm gonna say like evaluate my resume against these particular lines. Like, do I have 5+ years of backend development experience, cloud infrastructure, et cetera, and give me a score out of 5 for if I'm a strong fit, moderate fit, or weak fit. I don't think I will get a good score, but let's just see. Just showing you all like an example of like being able to plug into something. So like this is a PDF reader example, but let's say you wanted to plug into like PostgreSQL. Instead of you writing out the SQL query, you can have Goose do that for you. Once you use that MCP, like the PostgreSQL MCP server, you can be like, hey, I want to like figure out how many people in this database have like I'm not thinking of good examples right now, but like how many students have like a higher grade point average than this particular thing, and it'll just write out the query for you and it'll give you the response. So right now, what's happening in the background, I don't know if you guys know how much do you guys know of like how MCP works and how AI agents work? Okay, basically,
Rough idea.
rough idea. Okay, I might be repeating stuff you already know. So
Please enlighten us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so basically, like you all noticed, like it's connected. Oh, I don't know why my model's not selected. It doesn't matter. It's already like pre-selected by block anyways. But basically, what happens is I give Goose a prompt, and then Goose, you can think of its like guide or its kind of brain as the model that it's connected to. So then Goose will say like, hey, Claude Sonnet 3.5, let's come up with a plan to execute Rizèl's like question or prompt. Like she wants to look at her PDF, to look at this PDF and figure out if she's a good requirement for it. But I'm not exactly sure what to do. So the LLM will be like, okay, first let's look at like what MCP servers we have access to. And it's like, okay, we have access to this PDF reader MCP server. What tools does it have? It has like the read PDF. It has maybe like, I don't know what other stuff. Maybe it has like a write or a view file or whatever it has. And it'll say like, we need to use this particular tool. And then you can maybe run this particular file and write this back to her. And then Goose will be like, okay, I got you. And it'll like come back to me. So we can see here that like it went and ran the read PDF tool. Then it came back and it did like it opened up maybe a text editor. It seems like it viewed it. And then after that, it said, all right, based on your resume, it came back with the results to me. And it's like, I scored a 3 out of 5 on the 5+ years of experience. I do not have like strong systems design and distributed system knowledge, et cetera, et cetera. So it's going back and forth with like the LLM to figure out like what exactly should I show and what should I execute, and then Goose does the execution or the orchestration. But I can show like a more developer example as well. That was just like
Yeah. So what
oh,
if
sorry.
you? Oh no. What if you actually fed it maybe like a partially functioning application, right? Where you've just started write your code and you're storing it up in GitHub. Would you be able to point Goose to that repo and then say, "Hey, I want to complete this. Can you help me complete it out, or give me some structure?"
Okay. Sorry, I think so. Let's try that. I have
And
done
we'll
that.
come.
I'm trying to think of like what repo I have. I have some sucky demo repos that we could probably edit. Let's see. To do. Maybe these are really bad examples, guys, so don't judge me. They're not like the cutest looking ever, but let's see. Okay. I have this that I just use for like anytime I need to do something like this. Like I just need to like change something. This is basically a really basic app that just like Goose made this, and basically it just like shows like questions of like, oh, how is this code broken and where is it broken? Does that make sense? And then someone like writes in their
Mhm.
solution and if they need hints, right? So if we were to say let's see. I'm going to turn off the PDF reader extension just to not fill up the context window, I have something called the developer extension on, and I'm gonna prompt it. I could turn on the GitHub MCP server, but I've found a few problems with that one, so I'm gonna ask it to use like the GitHub command line tool to grab this repository and like add some things to it. So let's see if that will work. We're kind of like vibe coding a little bit. I don't know what do you guys want to add to it? Do you want to change the background? Do you want to add a feature and see what happens? It's really basic. It's nothing crazy. We could go for simple first. We could say like let's just change the color or the words, but I would want to do something cooler.
Actually, let's see how that would work. Like the flow of changing the color of the words to something like a purple or a blue.
Okay. Cool. Let's hopefully Goose don't embarrass me. You guys know sometimes AI doesn't always do what you expect. All right, so
That's totally fine.
I'll say let's use the command line to contribute or to update this repository. And I'm gonna say, well, let's just do that first. Are you able to access this repository? Yeah, I'll do that instead. Using the GitHub command line. Okay. I just want to make sure it can access it, and then I'll ask it to edit stuff. I like to do stuff step by step. Because I found that sometimes LLMs, when they have too much information, they kind of like skim over what they need to do. So I like to be really exact. Okay, cool. So it's cloning the repository for me right now. When I said that, it was like, I'll help you see if we can access it. And it said, yeah, great, you're authenticated as Black Girl Bytes. So I'm gonna go ahead and run git gh repo clone, and then it already exists locally. Okay, awesome. I guess. Can you make sure that we have the latest changes on M.A.I.N? And once we do that, can you change the color of the heading love bug to purple? And can you push those changes up? Let's see what happens.
So does it go ahead and even file a pull request as well, or does it just go ahead and do it right in the
It's
main
probably
frame?
just gonna straight up commit it, but I could have asked it to.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I should have.
It's Friday. We got to merge and just
Yeah.
I mean, we are on live stream on M.A.I.N, so
exactly.
I really should have said let's do PR first. But yeah, like y'all said, it's Friday. We're just gonna push to M.A.I.N. Okay, so we could see that. Let's see what happened. It said, all right, let's see if we have the latest from M.A.I.N. But it said, looks like they're having some issues with like initializing the Git repository. So they reinitialized it and they decided they're going to start fresh, and they just removed it. Or why am I saying they, but Goose decided it's going to start fresh. It just removed the directory and recloned it again. And now it like basically found where it is, and I think it should have changed it. Yeah, let's refresh. Oh, no, it didn't. Hold on. Let's see why not. Refresh here. Now we do see that there was a change right here. Maybe it took some time to deploy to Vercel. Let's refresh one more time. Or clear the cache. Or I could also tell Goose like that didn't change anything. Let's see what it did when it made that change. So it added a class called purple, but I wonder. That's why I like doing stuff step by step, because I feel like it gets a chance to kind of look at what's going on a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I've found that too. If I try to do too many steps at once, it's hard to drill back down and figure out where things went wrong.
Yeah.
I always end up peeling it all back and starting from the beginning and taking it slow anyway.
Yeah.
I think I'd learn at some point, but no.
Exactly. I got a little too excited. I was like, let's just go for it. All right,
Yeah.
let's figure out with Goose. I'm like, hey, I don't see that it turns purple. It's the title is still currently red. Feel like it has some other styling on it. I made this a while ago, so I wonder if I'm using Tailwinds. I might be. Where is this? Maybe app.jsx and love. Um, hmm. Maybe it's inheriting it from here. Game header. Can you check if it's inheriting colors from a different CSS class like game header? Okay, so it should do its thing. And I know these are like basic, like static examples, but I have done like more full stack applications with this as well. Let's see if it got this. All right, so yeah, it found the issue. The title's using Tailwinds. Yeah, that's what I figured. So it's gonna modify its approach. It kind of just assumed I was using like regular CSS rather than looking through it properly. Awesome. And we made the changes and you already committed it. Okay, so we also, just so you all know, there's also different modes if you're like, I don't like Goose being, because Goose is ready to help. If you're like, I don't like Goose being too like autonomous, like you could switch it to manual or smart or chat only, and chat would just be like going back and forth with it. Manual would be like it asks you after each and every step, like, hey, can I do this? Is this okay? And then smart would be it will try to notice when something's risky. Like instead of what's it called? Instead of like if it thinks like, oh, I should just do like a rm-rf, and it'll be like, wait, let me ask Rizèl first if I should do that.
Let's hope it doesn't do that on its own.
Right. And there's like a
But
lot of stuff in place. Okay, cool. This hopefully this changed it. Yay, there it
yay,
There
nice.
we go.
That took a
That's
while.
very cool.
Yeah, but I mean, if I was working with this code base and I did not know anything about CSS, I wouldn't stand a chance of changing this myself. But like working with Goose and the MCP, I might actually stand a chance because I gotta admit, CSS is a mystery to me at best. Like the idea that I can alter a somewhat, and this is simple, right? But I can alter a website that's using CSS and a bunch of other things without having to understand the intricacies of it. That sounds pretty good to me because that's
Yeah.
about where my skill level is at when it comes to front end anything.
And I could even give you all an example. Like I won't do the example, but I'll just show y'all like how my team like actually uses this in real life. Because I know a lot of times people are like, well, do you actually use this in production? Like low key, me and my teammates on the DevRel team do for the documentation. And one time I gave this talk and someone was like, do you use AI for documentation? And I was like, yeah. And everyone like gasped. Like they were like, oh my God, like they were disgusted.
Really? Why?
I don't know. Maybe they're like maybe they're thinking that we're like trusting AI and just committing it without reviewing. I don't know.
No,
I
no.
didn't expect the gas. They were like, oh. I was like, okay. But my team uses it a lot for this because the way that the Goose engineers come out with code like every week, it's like multiple new features. We don't have time to like look over all of these, especially since our only job is not doc writing. Like we're doing other stuff.
Right.
So like we will like ask Goose to help us understand the feature. We'll be like, how does this exactly work real quick to walk us through it, then we'll try it out. And then we'll be like, oh, like, I don't know, because there's different parts, especially like the CLI. There's so many like moving parts here. Like maybe we'll be like, how does this particular CLI command work? or like how do you run this with Docker, or you can do it everything in headless mode and all that. So we'll just like ask for some information, and then sometimes I ask Goose like, "Hey, format this information for me into a document." Sometimes it gives too much information, and I'm like, "Take that out, take this out." So it's mostly me talking to Goose to build out this documentation, and it's been pretty good. That's it. I talked a lot. You guys could say your thoughts.
Oh, that's
So
super cool.
so do you think like your development team or your engineering team uses Goose to develop Goose?
I heard they do. I did hear that they do. They do that. I think that's part of why they're so fast. So I think if I'm getting this right, before our 1.0 version, because we're like on 1.0 something something, this
Mhm.
Goose was only a CLI app and it was built in Python. We moved over to a Rust CLI tool now, Rust built, and what they said, I think, is that they use the Goose Python CLI to help them build the Rust one because they said none of them were Rust experts.
Mm,
So that's kind of crazy to me.
yeah.
And I sometimes contribute to the UI when I see like something's kind of like wonky, and I'll just like I know how to do it, but I'm a little bit lazy now. So I'll be like, "Goose, fix this part," and then I just open up a PR and I'm like, "Okay, perfect."
That is
Have you
interesting. Go ahead.
when you opened up Goose, you showed a bunch of extensions you have installed. Those are
Mhm,
like the MCP clients, right? Or the
mhm.
MCP servers, I should
Servers,
say.
yes, yeah, we call them extensions in the Goose ecosystem because I think we want it to be like a tool that not just developers use, like other people use, and we're like, "Oh, this extends Goose's capabilities."
It does sound friendlier than MCP server for
Yeah.
sure. 'Cause, like, I use extensions in Vivaldi or Chrome. Like,
Yeah,
I'm used to that idea of, like, a plugin or an extension. Does
exactly.
it is there, like, a curated catalog of extensions that you can grab from directly within the Goose UI, or do you have to go out and find your own and get them integrated?
So this comes built in with a few extensions. I believe computer controller, developer, Google Drive. No, not Google Drive. Sorry. These are some of them are for block only. Shouldn't be telling you guys that. Sorry. Computer controller, developer, maybe tutorial. There's a few that are like completely built in. And then we have like this directory of like suggested extensions that we've like
Nice.
vetted,
Mhm.
like the Figma one, the PDF reader pieces, and Git. And then we have some tutorials on like if you wanted to add in the Agent QL extension, here's how you would do it. If you wanted to add in anything, there's like so many that my team has done, and it's continuing to grow. And then on top of that, my the Goose engineers actually helped to develop the MCP spec with Anthropic, so it wasn't,
Oh,
like, only
cool.
Anthropic. So there some of them are also working on, like, a registry, like a official unified registry with GitHub, another thing called Post MCP and Anthropic, so that, like, it's not all over the place because everybody has their own registries, but here's a few that I like, if people wanted to, like, find their own servers. Post MCP is a good one. It, like, shows if something's, like, verified and if like the company built it out or if it's like a community built one. And then I like Glamma AI. I don't know what it's called. MCP. I don't remember the actual URL. Oh yeah, it is Glamma AI. Yeah, and you can see actually like, is this secure to install? Does it have a license? What's the quality? Which is really good because oh, thanks for linking it. Yeah, because some people have been using MCP servers, although it's exciting, they've been using it to kind of do malicious stuff, like
Mhm.
install tooling or like malicious software on people's projects and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
So who maintains Glamma and how do they validate things like security and licensing and all of that?
good question. Well, let's
Because this
figure
feels like
out.
a bit of a system of record, if you will.
Yeah,
And that's like important because one, you probably want to understand the authenticity of an MCP server, its
yeah,
origination, and if it was like built with good intentions in mind.
yeah. That's a really good question. I don't know who I was introduced to this tool by my manager, but I don't know. I guess it's a like a legitimate company. I don't know. I'll get back to you guys, or I can like Google it. Who
Hmm.
maintains Glamour AI? And that's true. Like, how are they vetting this? Okay. Yeah, like a legitimate company. I don't know. Very good question. Very good point though. Like, we can't just trust that like it's just because they say it's safe or however
Yeah.
they evaluated it. Yeah. I don't know.
So, like, when you think of the enterprise for a second, there's a lot of shadow MCP and shadow agents going on. And like, if you think way back when cloud just kind of just took over and folks would just go up on AWS console, swipe their credit card, and then start ringing up bills,
Yeah.
we're kind of in that same era all over again, just
Yeah.
with AI. So I'm interested to know if there are organizations out there that are wrapping around a process for
Mhm.
like governance, for authorization of using MCP, wrapping policy around it, if you will, and whatnot, and using tools like Glamma to just validate if an
Ye
MCP can be used. Because, like, for example, where I work, we recently got a policy document sent to us saying, like, you can use these models for your day jobs, whatever, but you can't use these models. You can't send your training data up to, sorry, you can't send your data for training up to, like, let's say OpenAI or anything. So I
Mhm.
imagine something's going to follow very quickly with MCP, given
Yeah.
like how powerful it is. But then at the same time, like, there's just so much you can do.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think maybe I can try to think of, like, how my company uses it because 'cause we're a fintech, and, like, we not only are we building this, we kind of are dog fooding it as an entire company, like, every single employee, not
You
just the
got
engineers, and I know
autonomous mode goose going on just to like develop itself.
I know that Angie wrote about like MCP in the enterprise if people want to take a look at this. But I know some things that we do in the background to like ensure of things is we have like allow lists that like administrators can run. So it's like you can't install like this is not obviously of like using Glamma, but like we're like these are the ones that like we vetted and like these are the ones you can install. Anything else, you will not be able to install it. And then let me see what other things we do that like just giving advice for different enterprises. Um we actually decided to like build in-house versions of some of these MCP servers because like I said, we're a fintech, so there's like a lot of different like laws and regulations. So we can't probably use like the Google Drive MCP server, even though Google did build it, because then, like you said, we would be giving that data to different like PII to
Mhm.
different models. So we built our own in-house like Google Drive extension and so on and so forth. Like even like Looker and Snowflake and different things that handle data. So I don't know.
Really
I mean,
cool.
that's not like a perfect solution, but that's what we've done.
That
Yeah.
is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what else.
So
It's
how
interesting to see how there's all these different clients that are approaching implementing like MCP servers. Um, I've been using VS Code and it
Mm,
has like built in, but that's for specifically when I'm writing code, not
yeah.
necessarily when I want to do other tasks around the desktop. Um,
Yeah.
and I tried Claude Desktop. I don't love the interface, so I want to give
Mm.
this a shot. See what I think about it.
Yeah, yeah. Give it a shot. See how you feel. I think I have like a really performing experience since Block is, like, paying for everything. Um, but I still think it's fun. We even like, just to let you know, if you try it out, Claude Sonnet 3.5 and GPT 4.0 will give you the best experience. We even did, like, a blog post on where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? We did a blog post on, like, benchmarking. Like, I'll just Google this. Benchmark. Yeah, on benchmarking, like, which models have performed best with Goose, and, like, we have, like, a leaderboard and everything, just if you're curious and trying to figure out, like, how's your experience gonna be, but I pretty much have enjoyed it. At first, it took me a while to get into the whole MCP client AI agent thing because I was like, "I don't want a software doing stuff for me, I would just wanna do it myself." But now I've become so lazy that even one time I typed into Google and I was like, "It's giving me results. I just wanted it to do it." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm on Google Chrome." Yeah.
I mean, that's true of all technology though, right? Like there's certain things that we've just decided we can offload this thing in
Yeah.
our brain to something else to make more room for the next thing. And
Yeah.
like or physical thing. Like I don't want to hand wash my laundry, you know. It's
Yeah.
so glad I have a washing machine. And I don't feel like morally bad about the fact that I use a washing machine instead of hand washing everything.
True.
Just like pulling out a calculator. I don't feel any like embarrassment at pulling out a calculator to multiply numbers together. I mean, I might feel
That's
bad
what
if I
it's
was like,
there for.
what's 2 plus 2? Better pull out my calculator for that. But yeah.
That's what it's there for. That's true. I shouldn't feel bad. Yeah. So I've started to get real comfortable with AI agents. I haven't gone to Claude either because I feel like okay, the thing I like about Goose, I don't know if other people like this, but was at first when MCP really came out, I was on maternity leave and I was like trying to
Mhm.
try out other people's and I couldn't figure out how to install the extensions. I like how with Goose, I can just let me show y'all. Like I can install an extension through a deep link. Let me see. What's the easy one? Maybe the puppeteer. Yeah, I can just click, hopefully this will work, open Goose, and then it's untrusted for my company, but I'll just override it. And I can just install it that way because it's not on the allow list. I can install it that way, which is nice. Or if you wanted to use the CLI, it's like a one line command. But I see like with Claude Desktop, it's like you're putting it into like some additional file and it looks I don't know, it looked like too much for my brain at the time.
Mm.
Yeah, that's it.
I guess we all have to now try out Goose and get it running in the next couple of weeks.
Yes.
Yeah. But
You know,
no pressure, do whatever you want.
there are so many tools out there, and the thing that I'm starting to run into is like was a word for it. I was just thinking about this. Like it's tool exhaustion, and like
Mhm.
you're trying to think like what's the right tool to accomplish the job that you're after. Like is there
Yeah,
one to rule them all, if you will, right?
yeah,
And like I think about VS Code. VS Code, you've got extensions and the ability to pick your models with Copilot.
yeah.
And if Goose has that similar capability to be able to cover it across the board, why not? Right.
True, true. Yeah,
Uh, I want to pull up this article here, folks. All right. Is it Clippy time?
yeah.
Might be.
And I agree with you on the fatigue thing. At one point,
Fatigue.
like when
That's
I
the word I
worked
was looking for.
oh, sorry.
That was the word I was looking for. Fatigue.
Oh, fatigue. Oh, yeah. Yeah, because at one point when I was doing GitHub Copilot, I was, like, excited about it, but then I was like, all I keep talking about and hearing about is, like, AI, this t and I was like, "I need a break." Like, it's too many.
I gotta find the right screen.
Yeah. I mean, there is so much going on, and probably every week there's like 5 new tools or 5 new systems or 5 new ways to do something different. Oh, look, it's
There's
Clippy. Clippy,
Clippy.
Clippy.
Oh my
It's just
god.
so yeah, you click on them.
Oh my gosh, like
There's a
that
chat
looks like
and it's
Windows 95.
98. Yeah, it's all based off of like Windows 98 style UI. And in the settings, you can adjust that. So you can like bump up the font size if like me, you're old and that's like too small for you. Uh, but in addition to that, you can select which models you want to use and it all runs locally. So you can pick whichever model you want out of here, or you can add your own model. It just needs to be in the GGUF format, which I've never heard of before, but I guess that's like a standard format for local models. Say you can add a model from file if you don't have one you want. But yeah, I mean, let's ask Clippy a question. What should we ask Clippy?
How do I add an image into Microsoft Word?
This is so cool.
Look at that. See,
Wow. And the local model is fast with it.
the local model does move pretty fast. What model am I using? I'm using Google's Gemma 3, which is 1
Wow.
Okay,
billion
yeah.
parameters. It's not a super big model, but I do have I mean, I have a decent graphics card on board, so that's
Mm.
probably why it's chunking through pretty fast. I want to know, what should I have for dinner tonight?
It could tell you that. Let's see what clip we gotta say.
Flippy, what do you think? Okay, we got some quick and easy ideas. Pasta with pesto. Um,
We got
Is no
Sebastian
bad
asking
AI its
about.
replacement?
what am I feeling? What am I feeling? Oh my goodness, that is a good question. Sebi, I'm gonna ask, how do you feel about being replaced by
Oh, Clippy.
Notepad AI?
I appreciated you.
That's a really. Oh, I can't. It's moving so quickly.
It
Yeah.
really
It's
is
not.
going through this like way faster than I thought it was. Here we
A
go.
tool
Nice
not a
summary at the
replace
bottom though.
Oh, thank God.
Clippy
I
doesn't
don't
feel
feel right.
replaced. I'm a tool being used in a different way. Oh, Clippy's, he's taken the high road, and that tracks for me. I feel like Clippy, he's a sunny side of the
Yeah.
street, glass is half full kind of icon.
Positive guy. Icon, yes. That's the perfect word.
Yeah, I mean, if people want to run this, you can just you can go to the GitHub project page that I submitted, and you can just pull it down. I'm sure it's available for more than just Windows because it's just an
Well,
Electron
yeah,
app.
yeah. Because I was wondering, like, would Clippy be offended if I ran this on a Mac?
I don't know. Let's ask him. Would you mind a Mac? It is an interesting and thoughtful question. Short answer, yes, absolutely. Yeah. See, Clippy again, looking on the sunny side of the street, glass is
Aw.
half full. He'd
Very
love to run on a
inclusive.
Mac.
I love it. Question just related to your system. What kind of specs are you running?
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and say I don't recall off the top of my head, but let's find out. We will find out together. All right. So Clippy, I'm gonna have to hide you for a second. There we go. Yeah,
Look
I've
at
got
you
a
with the
Core i9 with 12
64
cores
gig,
on it.
64 gigs of RAM. Look at you.
My
Bro.
GPU is a RTX 3060.
Okay. Okay.
So I wonder if we would see a bump if I ask him another question. What is your favorite 80s movie starring Tom Cruise? Top Gun, baby. Flippy and I are on the same page. Did I see any kind of bump on the GPU? Not really. Maybe like a little blip. But yeah, like this is a small model too. I think I would have to load a much bigger model to see any kind of thing there. And that might take a little while and mess with my internet connection. But yeah, maybe I should try to run Gemma 3, the 27 billion parameter one, see what happens.
So does it preload like or have these models like ready to go and you just select the one you want?
Yeah, when you start it up for the first time, it
Mhm.
downloads and installs that Gemma 3 one.
Okay.
Just so you have something, and it's like the smallest. But
Mhm.
all of these were pre-loaded in as available models, and then you can add your own if you have them in the right format. Still,
That
let's
is really
download.
cool.
I'm gonna download the model, but that's probably gonna take a while. Like
You got a pretty good internet connection there going at 24-ish, 25-ish
slow, man,
megabytes per.
slow. I pay for a gig. It's a business expense, people.
That is interesting. I think we should do a stream one day on like benchmarking different system specs and seeing how we run different models locally. We never really did that. We just kind of like jumped into building with AI versus actually trying to host AI.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Oh.
cool.
Whoa, my Ethernet card's real busy right now. Though. I don't look at this very often. So this is interesting. Yeah. I think what other questions I have for you, Rizèl, about Goose, or you know what, just like beyond what you do at Block and beyond
Mhm.
what you do at Goose, like what else are you up to in the world? Like what's exciting for you?
I'm a mom now, so that's exciting.
Congratulations.
Thank you. That's been fun. I was gonna ask how y'all felt about vibe coding, but I think I get the
Oh.
sense that you guys are not against it because you're like, well, at least Marino told me that, but I don't know if Ned you feel that way.
Definitely not against it, but I'm gonna go back to what you said earlier about the like the small steps thing. Um, I tried to have Copilot using Claude write an MCP server for me in Python just based off of a long text prompt, and it was too much all at once. And so it definitely didn't work, and things were certainly broken. Um, it was trying to use pip, but I like using UV. It was doing all these things where it was finding these code snippets and then trying to bring them in. And I think I should have started with something much simpler, like help me build out the scaffolding for an
Mhm.
MCP server using UV for a virtual environment. Like just step one and get that far and make sure that like that basic thing works. And then, okay, let's make it a Terraform one and add in one tool to it just to see if that tool works and just slowly build from there instead of like going, just pressing the button and go. And maybe that was baby steps is I think what my key takeaway there.
That's a good tip for people. I think that might be also why some people are like, I don't trust AI. It's not doing the right thing. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, I think you're trying to do too much at once. And I like learns more. And I'm like, oh, okay. Basically, every model has like a context window of or how much it can remember or retain at a
Hmm.
time. And if you're giving it too much information, it has to do too many things, it'll eventually like start skimming over parts or even forgetting what was at the beginning of the conversation. So then it starts messing up. So I tend to do like what you said, like little by little. And then sometimes I'll like move to like a new, like I'll start a new session and be like, here's where I left off, like
Hmm.
continue the rest. That way, like we'll start with like a new, fresh, like context window, if that makes any sense. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point that it can kind of lose track of what it's doing if you give
Yeah.
it too much. The other thing
Yeah.
I noticed is it can really get stuck on trying to solve a problem, and it will just try to solve the problem, see it's not fixed, and then try something else and it's not fixed, and it just kind of wrap itself around its own axle. And you really have to
Yeah.
step in at a certain point and be like, "You're not going to figure this out on your own, but we can do it together. So let me like intercede."
Yeah. I hate when it starts going crazy and I'm like, please stop. And I've made some mistakes before with vibe coding where I didn't check what was going on. Like I was like, hey, like fix this dependency conflict. And then somehow it like changed the entire look of the app. But I was like, I didn't focus on that because I was like, yeah, I already did all of it. I just wanted it to fix this dependency conflict. And then I like merged to main. And then I like looked at the app and I'm like, oh my God. But luckily I have version control, so I just had to move back. But yeah, I don't know what other things I have going on. I'm kind of a workaholic, so I have work going on.
I don't
Yeah.
know what you mean. Oh, yeah. The other thing I'll say is I've seen the same behavior that it's showing in like junior engineers that I used to work
Mm,
with that are just less
interesting.
experienced and they don't know how to troubleshoot something or they're
Yeah,
just unfamiliar. So they'll just start throwing stuff at the wall and going through the same steps over and over.
yeah,
And that's when like a more senior person has to walk in and be like, I've encountered this before. I know what's going on. It's not anywhere in the docs. Let me show
yeah.
you.
That's a good
Um,
point.
and I feel like maybe that's my role a little bit now is giving good instructions and like small instructions And
Yeah.
then when it runs into trouble, being able to step in and be like, okay, I've seen this before and we're gonna get through this. Don't worry. And then ideally it would learn, but that I think maybe that's the problem with vibe coding is at this point, the models don't learn the lessons that you teach it. So you're
Yeah.
always kind of starting with a blank slate.
It's a bit of a memory thing, I think. And, there's probably ways to mitigate that. Like if you use some caching mechanisms of sorts to be able to cache that context long term. But I
Mhm.
get it. Like I totally agree. Like, when I think about just feeding a paragraph worth of prompts to a model or something, it's like, okay, yeah, I'll try and build this, come up with something that it just hallucinated.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
It's like annoying.
but I like I was saying to Rizal before we hopped on this stream, I'm not a developer, but it's made me feel like one in certain ways. Like I know what I want, I know how much context I can give it, and it would give me something that aligns to my ask
Mm.
versus me having to go out and try and understand how a function works and why my function isn't working, and maybe I have like a missing semicolon somewhere or
Yeah.
whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I appreciate about vibe coding.
Me
Yeah.
too. Yeah, I feel like you gotta get really deep in the weeds of these, like MCP clients if you want them to work how you want, like without that hallucinations. Like I think other MCP clients or AI agents, they have like Cursor has cursor rules and like Goose has Goose hints where you can add in that additional context without like writing out a huge prompt. Like you can be like, I always want to use TypeScript for this, or this is not in the docs, or don't push to main ever. Like I don't know, those type of things to help it. And then I think they're starting to get memory. I know Goose has memory. It's for me, the experience has been, sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. But don't tell my boss. But yeah.
All right.
ChatGPT has something like that too.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
Yeah.
I use the
Yeah.
memory a lot. Like I have how Nnenna you guys have sorry, I interrupted you.
Oh no, go
But
ahead.
but Nnenna has like her like basically is using AI to like plan out her life. I kind of told GPT so much about me that it like, and since it's using the memory, it's like, no, here's what you should do because I remember that you did this and this. And I'm like, I love that. Like it's like, oh, you're a tech lead. Don't respond to that person in that way. Make sure your email sounds a little bit more confident. I'm like, oh, thanks, ChatGPT. Sorry, go
I
ahead,
love
y'all.
that.
I interrupted
No,
you.
no, no, that is amazing. Actually, I love that. I love the memory context a lot, only because, when I'm feeding it a prompt, I actually assume that it remembers something that I asked it maybe 3 weeks ago and uses that information. Not for you. It doesn't work for you.
it, results may vary.
All right. Well, anyways, we are at time.
Okay. Yeah.
We've got to hop to another meeting. I've got to hop to another meeting.
Yeah.
But Rizal, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on board and showing us a little bit of Goose and how we can get started and a little bit of that vibe coding magic. We really appreciate you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate y'all.
And if folks want to get in touch with you, connect with you, how can they get a hold of you, or where can they find you?
On every social media site, I'm Black Girl Bites.
All right.
Awesome.
Cool. All right. Bye, y'all.
Thanks, Rizal.
Take care,
Bye.
everyone. Have a great Friday. See ya.